check. Good morning. Today's Monday, August 7th. Welcome. Corey Title up here, Pacific Coast Title Company. Welcome to Title Talk. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's go.
I got the world on my mind.
Yeah. Sean and Corey, carry the show.
Running out of time.
Yes.
Sooner or later they'll see why I got the realest flow. Son of the dark, but I still got the illest flow. And it's ironic to me how a conic MC can strike me before we drop the chronic CD. You see, it all started in the CPT. When Nina rolled a shotgun, so the fleet C3. Keep the pound in the middle like DPG. Now they love me in LA like CP3. I'm ballin' shout out to Uncle Warren and all the pretty girls who seeing out while I'm touring. Signing autographs, otherwise I'll ignore them. While I got this rider chick that I'm adoring. Yo.
Center stages and spotlights. Oh, baby. People craze with the fantasy pop life. Social frenzies. Who's your next bestie, baby? False realities and drugstore remedies. I got the world on my mind. And maybe never comes. We're out of time, babe. I got the world on my mind. And maybe never comes. We're out of time, babe.
Woo, let's go, guys. Hope you guys get fired up for the week. Let's go get those deals. We got a special guest today. Liz Velasquez will be discussing the top 10 title concerns, which basically means, top 10 real estate concerns for you. So you always want to be conscious of what's going on, what's happening out there.
From Tokyo to LA, stop your evil ways. Show this place your love. Make it brighter days. Save the life and save the dream. I can't believe it now. You have to flip the page and you can really see it now. I got the world on my mind. Yes, it's on my mind. Running out of time.
Young.
I got the world.
Stand by, guys.
I got the world. Yeah. I got the world, baby.
Sean and Corey.
I got the world, baby. I got the world, baby. Yeah.
Woo! Hey, what's up, guys? I'm reporting from my mission control today. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I had a good weekend. I went to go see the Haunted Mansion. The new Haunted Mansion just came out, and it was awesome. Awesome. I won't spoil it for you, but I just loved it. It was just a really good, well scripted, great cast, and I highly recommend going and checking it out. It was really cool. A lot of fun. Last week, too, we had a great podcast. If you missed that, go back, check it out. We had Brett Hundley on, former UCLA quarterback, star, really just an awesome quarterback over at UCLA. Then he went on to play in the NFL, play with the Green Bay Packers and a few other teams. And, now he's focusing on his foundation, the Hundley Foundation, which is it's geared towards helping children, kids, but the community with a main focus on epilepsy. Brett's sister. When I just gotta upside down camera angle. Do I really? Okay, I can't really see that. Let me see here. I was told I have an odd camera angle. Let's see. See if I can fix that. Anyways, I'll report like this for now. Anyways, so Brett has a foundation that focuses on epilepsy. We had him on last week. I have a daughter who's afflicted with epilepsy, and so he was just gracious enough to come on with us last week. We did we had a discussion on here. I learned a lot of things, and it was just real nice and for me, just as a father, to sit and have this conversation with Brett, because he and his family were afflicted with epilepsy. His sister Paris has epilepsy, and he discussed a lot of things that it just felt good to hear someone else, another family. If you have anyone who's afflicted with epilepsy, I think that you would benefit from following the Hundley Foundation, also the Epilepsy Foundation. It's just something to be connect. These groups help you connect with other patients and families, and just really help you to cope with some of these some of the stresses and the anxieties associated with epilepsy. But anyways, it's they're having a great event this weekend, Sunday. It's the Lace 'em Up. Here, I'm trying to find that here for you. Yeah, I was trying to find the flyer. But anyways, August 13th, Sunday. It'll be in Long Beach, and I'll post that up on my IG and share that with you. Hope you guys can join us on Sunday, August 13th. It's in the morning. I believe it's 8:30 to 11:30. But again, I'm going to post up the flyer on here on my Instagram. Share that with you if you guys can make it out Sunday. If not, maybe jump online and donate. The Hundley Foundation.org, I believe, and that'll be Sunday, August 13th. I'll keep you informed with that. At any rate, I am struggling here with a little bit of my software. Okay. So we're going to discuss a couple of things today. I have my camera, my screencast here. We're going to be doing... we're going to walk through some of the top 10 concerns. And if you haven't checked out our website, please do. www.pct.com. We got a lot of great stuff up here for agents. If you're a real estate agent, even if you're just a lender, escrow, anyone in the real estate business, come check us out. pct.com. If you need anything this week, I'm taking appointments to do one-on-one sessions with any agent who wants to learn more about some of these powerful resources that we have here at Pacifico Title Company, like Title Toolbox, TitlePro247.com. Great resources. But I know a lot of people don't really know how to use these, and so I can help you. I can train you. I can walk you through these programs and show you how to use these to implement them into your business. I apologize. I have a little bit of technical problems today. Okay. So anyways, what we're going to do is, I think I shut off the music now, finally. Okay. So if you want to learn a little bit more about these resources and these tools, these applications for not just farming, but that is key. You want to be aware of what's going on in your farm territories. But there's some really slick tools for targeting turnover rates. Just a lot of different types of data. And you can utilize some of these resources in conjunction with each other, right? Title Pro 247, Title Toolbox. We also have our mobile app, PCT Instant Profile. We're going to go ahead and go down this list today off the website. You can check it out, and you log on, pct.com. I'm just kind of screencasting here for you. And you have agent resources up here. On this tab, educational booklets, the Flyer Center. We have something in here that's pretty slick. And we're going to go over that in a minute. We're going to get Liz Velasquez, PCT Title Operations Manager, on. We're going to go over some of these lists, top 10 title concerns. So there's some really good flyers, some really good information up here. If you're new or if you just want to brush up on some information, like I said, anyone really in the real estate business, we're going to go ahead and download the flyer. Top 10 concerns regarding title. So we're going to go over that in a minute. But again, going back to, the epilepsy thing, the epilepsy lace 'em up walk. I just want to thank Brett for joining us last week. It was an honor to have you here, and we're going to continue to bring anyone, not just like I said, title related. We're going to talk about title stuff, real estate, but I'll be bringing on different guests, talking about different things. Any good information that I can get up here, to get up here and just have discussions and talk about things that might bring awareness to something or help a family, or it could be anything, So we'll have some fun up here too. In the coming weeks, I'll get some different guests on. We'll talk about music. I don't know. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get Liz Velasquez on. We're gonna get her on the phone. See if I can get her on right now. Okay. So stand by. We'll see if we can ring her in.
Hi,
Hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was having a little bit of technical issues this morning, but I think we got it ironed out.
Yeah, I think you're good right now.
Okay, cool. So, off the website, I don't know if you had a chance. We have a lot of really good information up there.
Okay, perfect.
And this is one of those flyers up there. Top 10 concerns regarding title. Are you with me?
Yes. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yeah. So I was thinking I would just go ahead and run through them and share this with some of our listeners, some of our clients, and anybody who's in the business, just to bring awareness to what some of the concerns that we would have from our perspective from title. Obviously, these are going to be issues, with a transaction, whether that's a real estate transaction or a loan that's closing. But we'll go down the list here. So we got the top 10 concerns regarding title.
Right.
Number one, and I don't know if you want to just kind of just interject, as I go down the list. And
Yeah, why don't we do that? Let's do that.
okay, so number one is errors in public records. So, and I'll just kind of read off of this list here. The error is human, but when it affects your home ownership rights, those mistakes can be devastating, right? Clerical or filing errors could affect the deed of a survey of your property and can cause undue financial strain in order to resolve them.
Right. So let's just go over that one real quick. We have the county recorder. Every county has a county recorder office. Okay. So people there, employees there, post the recording documents to what we refer to as the property chain. Again, just like this thing states, making errors is human when you're dealing with individuals that are manually inputting this information. So
Right.
from time to time, we pick up an error where, for example, let's say there was a sale of a property and the deed does not get posted correctly, so the transfer never shows a record. So these are the types of examples of items that could potentially happen. And that's part of what title insurance is sometimes, helping the client, direct them, to where they need to go to get errors like this fixed.
Corrected, yeah. Okay. So that is that truly the number one concern, or is it just?
No. I think this list is not in any particular list of urgency. It's just a list. So no, not necessarily. I mean, these are all just the top 10
right.
concerns that could arise, with your title on your properties.
Right.
So
Okay.
let's go to number 2.
So number 2, unknown liens. Right. Prior owners of your property may not have been meticulous bookkeepers or bill payers, right? And even though the former debt is not your own, banks or other financing companies can place liens on your property for unpaid debts even after you've closed on the sale. And this is especially worrisome, when it comes to distressed properties. Right.
Yeah. So what this is I'll give you a couple of examples. So when you go to buy a property, there's obviously a current owner on the property that may or may not have loans against the property. Part of what title does in conjunction with escrow when there's a purchase transaction insured is first of all, we disclose any liens or loans against the property of the current owner. But then also when we close, we pay and address any of the existing liens or loans against the property that may be there. So what happens in a lot of instances is, let's say we do pay off an existing loan, and sometimes the lender doesn't issue a release. They're supposed to issue a release by law within a certain period of time, but sometimes they don't issue a release. And so what ends up happening is in the future, let's say that buyer that bought the property goes to refinance the property, and somebody does a search of their property, it might disclose that there's an existing loan. It doesn't mean that it's not paid off, but it means it's still showing of record. So that's an example of liens that might pop up against the prior owner. In some instances, we've got scenarios where we're closing a sales transaction and we're being told and being provided with evidence that it had been previously paid, and we do what we call right around it, meaning we believe what they're telling us based on the evidence that they've provided, but once again, a release is not recorded. So until a release is recorded, you may have prior owner's liens showing against your property.
Oh, right.
And again, it's not that big of a deal if we can prove that they were in fact paid off, but it is always just a Band-Aid when we acknowledge that it was paid off previously, but we don't get a release. So,
yeah, and something like that would probably come back on another transaction.
Exactly. In the future, it ends up coming back. So ideally, it's always best to try to get releases whenever possible, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So that's something that could pop up. So let's move on to number 3.
So number 3, illegal deeds. And so this, while the chain of title on your property may appear perfectly sound, it's possible that a prior deed was made by an undocumented immigrant or a minor, a person of unsound mind, or one who was reported single, but actually they're married. In these instances, they may affect the enforceability of the prior deeds, affecting prior and possibly present ownership.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily love the word illegal, but these are deeds that are not necessarily properly executed. Let's say.
Yeah.
It gives a couple of examples, and I'll just touch on a couple of them. If there's a minor on title, which is rare, but sometimes people decide they want to put their children on the title, not realizing that as a minor they cannot execute a document. The minor cannot do a deed transferring the property to somebody else, so that would not be a valid deed. Also, in some cases, we've got people that execute, let's say, a grant deed, and they're on their deathbed, and they pass away 3 days after they've executed that deed. So if a title company were to review that, we would definitely question the validity of that deed based on whether that person was of sound mind or not at the time that they executed the document. So these are just a few examples of, potential, and again, I don't want to use the word illegal, but invalid liens invalid deeds that may get recorded and that might get questioned.
Right. Okay. So Number 4, we have missing heirs. So when a person dies, the ownership of their property may fall to the heirs or those named within the will. However, those heirs are sometimes missing or unknown at the time of death. Other times, family members may contest the will for the right for their own property rights. These scenarios, which can happen long after you've purchased the property, may affect your rights to the property.
Yeah. So missing heirs. I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, in some instances, most of the time people put the property into their trust, or when there's heirs involved, sometimes it's more of a probate situation where the person didn't put it into their trust. The chaining out of the interest of the 100% interest of the property sometimes is an issue. We may end up with a portion of somebody's interest not included. In addition to that, sometimes all of a sudden we see that there's a person on title, and then there's an affidavit of death recorded by a person who's claiming to be the administrator of the estate of that person. So we would then need documentation to establish whether or not that person did in fact have the right to execute such a document. So there's a lot of open areas here where, again, it could be a probate scenario or a trust scenario,
Right.
or even just where a missed interest of a potential owner could be an issue as well.
Yeah. And it's always good to just have, if an agent has a question, about this or a specific type of situation, just to call in and, we can, check it out for them.
Yeah. These are isolated things.
Right.
They're not common, but they do come up, and we have the resources to research that for you. So by all means, when something unusual like that, by all means, call Corey or myself, and we're happy to research that.
Yep. Number 5 is forgeries, and it says here, unfortunately, we don't live in a completely honest world, right? So sometimes forged or fabricated documents that affect property ownership are filed within public records, obscuring the rightful ownership of the property. And once these forgeries come to light, your rights to your home may be in jeopardy.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this one is a big one. This one probably could be in one of the top numbers.
Top concerns, for sure.
It's an extreme concern. Just like it states in the flyer, we don't live in a completely honest world, and right now more than ever, there's a lot of people preying on elderly people. They're preying on distressed properties. They record deeds transferring interest into somebody else, or in some instances, they even use identity theft and pose as the owner of the property to sell a property and then run away with all the proceeds.
Yeah. And I know this, we see all kinds of really strange scenarios come through.
Yeah, this is a very serious, very common. This one is very common.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the expertise of our internal staff is what you need to rely on for review of, signatures, notaries, the validity, once again, of the documents, the chain of command of, when a person dies and all of a sudden we've got a different person executing on their behalf. Do they really have the right to do that? So forgeries, again, identity theft is a very, very big factor, and it happens very, very commonly with title transactions and executions of documents by a fraud, a person who doesn't really have anything to do with the property. And we've had scenarios where the owner of the property all of a sudden gets notified that their property was sold, and then all of a sudden they'll call the title company and say, "Wait, I didn't list my property. I did not sell my property."
Wow.
So, as an agent, you also want to be careful with that. When you've got somebody that's asking you to list their property and it just seems too good to be true, you want to make sure that you do your due diligence as well. And again, on the inside part of it, it's our job to do that as well on your behalf and on behalf of your client.
Yep. All right, number 6 is undiscovered encumbrances. And when it comes to owning a home, 3 can be a crowd. At the time of purchase, you may not know that a third party holds a claim to all or part of your property due to a former mortgage or a lien or a non-financial claim like restrictions or covenants limiting the use of your property. So that's
Right.
that's kind of
So,
common. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's interesting because, sometimes, again, part of what we do as title is we want to make sure that when we transfer property through a sale of a transaction, that we do our homework and that we make sure that 100% of the interest is being listed and sold to the buyer. Recently, I had a scenario, it wasn't ours, it was a buddy of mine at another title company, actually, that they sold the property and, everything seemed to be normal. And a couple of years later, they noticed that on their tax roll, they were still showing another name along with them as the assessed owner.
Wow.
So they contacted the title company, and come to find out, the seller on the transaction was just one person selling it to the buyer, but there had been another person on title years before where that person never deeded off their interest.
Wow.
So that's a scenario where you've got undiscovered, ownership that sometimes you weren't aware of, and so you don't hold 100% interest in the property. So again, that's part
Right.
of the research that we do, that we try to catch
Yeah.
all of these things and make sure that when your buyer is buying the property, that they are in fact acquiring 100% interest in the property.
Yeah, and on that topic, as an agent, when you're out and you're doing your listing appointments, you order a profile. We will always include the grant deed, the vesting on it as well. And so that kind of you want to get that right away, especially when you're going to write a listing agreement or even an offer.
Correct. It's always a good idea as a listing agent to call Corey and request a listing prelim.
Yeah.
The listing prelim will disclose to you anything that you need to know, any red flags that you need to kind of address, that you may want to have a conversation with your owner. In some instances, information that they might not even be aware of. So
Right.
it's very helpful to do those things in advance, do the homework in advance, so that, when you do go to list a property, you don't have any hiccups with your transaction, and then you have a smooth closing.
Yep. Okay, number 8. We're at boundary. Oh wait, no, we're on 7, right? 7. So 7 unknown easements. This is very common. We're always having issues with easements, and so this one says you may own your new home and its surrounding land, but an unknown easement may prohibit you from using it as you'd like, or could allow government agency, businesses, or other parties to access all or portions of your property. While usually non-financial issues, easements can still affect your right to enjoy your property. And this is something that comes up, quite frequently.
Yeah, this does come up frequently. I think majority of the general public is aware of what the word easement means, which basically means access. And an example of an easement that could prohibit you from, again, using the property how you would like is there might be an easement, let's say for Southern California Edison, to access your property, and there might be an electrical line that might be underground, or it might be overhead, that will prohibit you from being able to put in a pool.
Oh, right.
So that's one that I've seen before, where the person bought the property, they had every intention of putting in a pool, and then discovered when they were going to do it that there was an easement for electrical lines, and it did not allow them to be able to put the pool in of their dreams. So,
Oh, that
so
sucks.
it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an example of one. It could be easement for, like it says, government agencies. It could be, they're allowed to go into your property for, I don't know, could be a water line maybe. That's a city public water line.
Yeah.
Those are just a couple of examples.
Now, with easements, though, we wouldn't really see those on, say, like a property profile, or would we see that on the the LP.
Correct. You would not see it on a listing prelim, and you would not see it on a property profile. Something like this is extensive. So
Yeah.
these types of items, CC&Rs, easements, only are reflected on a full title report.
Right.
So if we know you've got the listing already and you'd like to see specifics like easements and CC&Rs, all you have to do is tell Corey, I need a full prelim. And
Right.
we can go ahead and do a full prelim, and
As long as you have,
it'll
the
disclose
listing
those
and it's
things.
solid, yeah, of course.
Yeah, we also have our engineering department also can help plot out those easements. I'm sure you guys have all heard that term, plotted easements. So what that means is our engineering department will literally on our map color code the dimensions of that particular easement. To show you the location of the easement, the size of the easement, whatever the case may be. Sometimes that's also very helpful to you and your client.
And can you just explain real quick, how, what they mean by, run with the land? Like you always hear that the easements run with the land. That basically means that they don't, you can't eliminate an easement, or
Yeah, I mean, any easement can be terminated. So that does happen. However, run with the land means you don't have to do anything about it. It just exists, and we give you the information letting you know that it exists.
right.
There's different types of easements. There's easements with like the city or with Edison or with the gas company. Those are obviously large things that are not going to go away. Those run with the land.
Yeah, like a
Then there's-
pipeline or
then-
something.
Yeah, pipelines. Then there's personal easement arrangements that are done, let's say, between, you and your neighbor. Let's say you give your neighbor, you have possibly a shared driveway or a common driveway, and you give each other access to each of your properties through that. Those exist as well. Those are arrangements, between the neighbors. Those can be terminated sometimes at any given point as well if both parties agree.
Right. Okay. So we got a couple more left here. We're running tight on time here, but so we'll go real quick. Number 8 is boundary survey disputes. How often do we come across this? Is this?
I'll just jump into
Yeah.
that one real
Yeah.
quick. So that one is basically, let's say two neighbors, say this piece of land belongs to me, and the other neighbor says, no, it belongs to me. I believe my boundary line is this, and the other one says, no, the boundary line is this. So the only way to resolve those types of scenarios is to get a surveyor. A surveyor is the only person
Those
that
are-
will actually measure the legal description to the inch.
And that could be
That will
pretty
give you
expensive, right?
That will give you an exact measurement of what property belongs to whom.
Right.
And that happens. That's common. A surveyor, again, is what you would need to get something like that corrected
Yeah.
or disclosed. And it's pricey, but it is a good way to kind of resolve
Yeah,
that kind of
you'd want to
question.
just put that to rest,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Number 9, undiscovered will. Is that something does that like hold up against a trust or?
Yeah, so a undiscovered will, when a property owner dies in no apparent will or heir, the state may sell his or her assets, which basically is a probate. But when you buy a property, you assume that the person that's selling to you had the right to sell it. So sometimes a will can be contested. There could be, lawsuits involved. Somebody can come out of the woodwork saying, that property was supposed to have been mine. And so those could become legal issues. But again, protecting the properties by either putting them in a trust or holding interest as joint tenants is probably a good way to avoid a situation like that one.
Always go with the trust.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, the last one is 10. It's false impersonation of a previous owner. Wow. So
Yeah. So that's
this common,
kind
or-
of similar,
Yeah, kind of
similar
the
to
fraud.
the one that we did exactly in the number 5 that said forgery. So Again, I've seen this happen before. Matter of fact, I just got a phone call on an order that we have open where, again, a buddy that works for another company was given notification that a property that we have an open order on as a sale, the owner of the property reported to the police identity theft. So they made a report, and then they distribute this information to all title companies to let us all know if you happen to get a transaction for this property, the owner is not selling his property. They're not listing the property. They have been a victim of identity theft.
Wow.
So, again, this happens. This happens with the elderly. It happens with out-of-state owners who are not around and aware of what's happening. It's a very common thing, very dangerous thing, and this is where, again, title comes into play, because hopefully we are able to review and double check and triple check to make sure that everything that is being provided to us for the closing of that transaction is legitimate.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the whole list. Thank you for sharing that with us. Lending us your expertise, and we'll get you on again in the next coming weeks. And
and everybody knows, like, they can reach me, direct anytime, or they can reach me through you anytime.
Yeah. So that's Pacific Coast Title's top 10 concerns regarding title. That's our worksheet that we have up here on our website, pct.com. Again, that's under Agent Resources. So, Liz, thank you again. We'll get you up on here next in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
We'll do something
good.
interesting.
Have a great week, everyone.
All right, thanks. Well, there you have it. Top 10 title concerns. So don't forget to jump up on the website here. Under Agent Resources Flyer Center, we have a bunch of great pieces, including a educational booklet that has a lot of great stuff in here, like home buyers and seller guides. Just a lot of really cool stuff that you can use with your business, even when you go on a listing appointment. So that's going to be it for this week. I wanted to kind of just get back on topic here with title, and next week we'll do some more farming data analysis, help you guys target more sales out there. So I think we'll focus on that next week, and then, like I said, we'll have some different guests on in the coming weeks. Don't forget to join us if you can make it out this Sunday to the Brett Hundley Foundation Lace 'em Up Walk for Epilepsy, August 13th, Sunday at 8:30. I believe it's the Granada ramp. And I'm just going off my memory here, but again, I'm going to post that flyer up so that if you guys are interested in coming out, donating, or just being a part of the cause, supporting the cause, we'd appreciate that. I'll be talking about epilepsy as well. I'm always going to be an advocate now, for epilepsy, having a daughter who's been afflicted with this ailment. But you know what? She's in good spirits. I want to congratulate her too, because she's been sort of interning for our company, for Pacific Coast Title. She's been interning over the last few weeks, for actually a couple months now. And we just recently brought her on full time. So congratulations to Viviana for joining the team officially here at Pacific Coast Title Company. If you guys need anything this week, please reach out. Direct 626-392-7993. You can reach me by email as well. Open at Corey Title Rep. And don't forget to there's my car. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Corey Title Rep. I'll be here next week at 11 a.m. If you need anything until then, reach out, and we'll set up an appointment. We'll do a phone training. I can talk to you about, all these fantastic resources. By the way, we're having a training, and I believe it's this Friday. I'm gonna confirm that, but we're gonna have another training on Title Toolbox with Jorge Mesa in the office. So that's something that you shouldn't miss. You should come out, check it out. He's a really great. Well, he's a great man, but he's a great trainer as well. He's gonna talk about Title Toolbox. So if you guys can come out to our office in Glendale, I'm not sure if they're gonna be doing it on if they're gonna be doing that over Zoom at all, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted about that. And if you guys would like to do a one-on-one, I'm available for that as well. So you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you guys. You know, you can give me a call anytime, 626-392-7993. And have a great week.
I'm feeling good now. No one to bring me down. God is blessing on the ground. And I'm standing a little bit taller. And I'm standing a little bit taller now. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Yeah, my past was a little